So everyone should hear the nice lady's voice. All right. Now, here's my question. Is anybody here from not in Texas right now? I'm just curious. Every once in a while we have people from different places. Is anybody here that's not like in the DFW area?
I'm in San Antonio.
Okay, John. Anybody else? Okay. But it's okay if you are. I'm just curious. All right. I'm going to go over a couple of things tonight. Let me get to this place. I'm going to share a couple of things with you guys. We're going to talk about the class in terms of just what to expect. We're going to, I'm going to kind of outline our class meetings super briefly. And then I'm going to spend some time talking through like things like next steps for you briefly. And then at the end, kind of towards the end, we're gonna do a group, like a breakout group, where I'm gonna have you guys answer some questions for me, so I can understand how to help you. Every time I've taught this class, I do a lot of the same things, but I do some things that are a little different, and it depends on the class. Kind of depends on what people want. Sometimes it depends on where people are in the process of becoming, like in the process of your practicum. So and it'll all make sense as we go along. So if you have questions, if you ask a question, just make sure you unmute yourself. Otherwise, you'll just be talking and no one will ever know anything that you said. Okay, and I am going to, there we go. So on Moodle, I have put a few things on there. I just added a couple things recently, like today, that I meant to put on there this last weekend, but I forgot. So let me share my screen. And then I'm going to do this. There we go. So everyone should see this, hopefully. I can make it larger if I need to. Okay, so this main screen here on Moodle, I've put a few like basic information kinds of things. And so let's cut to the chase about assignments. You have 2 assignments. That's it. You're going to do a practicum reflection paper. And if you click on that, it'll give you all the instructions, some questions to answer. 1 page, super easy. You could write it tonight if you really wanted to, especially if you're pretty close to getting your hours. We have a learning style assignment that goes to Dr. Hebard's group. It's with the QEP. So when you first started at Amberton, you probably took a learning styles Myers-Briggs assessment. And so there's instructions on this, and it's just a 1-page write-up. I actually give that right to him. And then I'm going to put another folder down here that will be a place where you'll drop all your paperwork when you're finished with the class. So that is the same things you turned into Dr. Johnson in practicum 1, you're going to turn into me, right? So you're going to do a self-reflection on your practicum, a self-evaluation, a supervisor evaluation, and your hours. And for hours, I want all your hours, like all of them from practicum 1 and 2, and the break in between, right? So I want every hour, right? So I want indirect and direct. I want everything. Okay. Do we have any people here that are going on to do practicum 3, doing the LMFT path? Is anybody here? Kaylee?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Me too.
I have a question because I'm LMFT, but I will be finished all my hours in second practice. So do I need to go more or not?
Yeah, you have to do 3 practicums.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So I will be third too.
Yep. But Olga, you can count those hours towards your license.
Yes, but it will be only 100 hours more, but I will be more. So,
Man, that makes a difference when you got to get 1,500 direct hours. It makes a big difference.
yep.
That's like a month or two. Anyway, so John, Olga, and Kaylee. Anyone else doing LMFT? Okay. Everyone else is LPC?
Someone in the chat
Yes.
added that they were LMFT.
Me, Don James Russell.
Dawn, okay. Awesome. All right. So you guys automatically get an A no matter what you do. Because LMFTs, as we all know, are way better than
Hooray.
everyone and have to do way more than everybody. It's just how it is. That's just facts, right?
So for the reflection paper, do you want us to like just write how it's been so far, or since our
Mhm.
practicum's not technically done?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. Because you'll keep going, but this is just so I'll be like super transparent in here. This class, I have to give assignments. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give any assignments because you're doing practicum. You're doing a lot of work right now, but we have to have some kind of grading something. So this is part of what I'm doing. I used to have people read a book, but I stopped doing that. We're not even doing that now. So because I want you to focus on your practicum. That's the most important thing. You need to get those hours done. So so if you're doing LMFT, you're going to have another practicum, the Prac 3. So everything we talk about in here is fine. I'm still going to talk about LPC and LMFT. I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to talk about different aspects of both. So this class is going to be made up of both folks. Okay. Okay. Now, having said that, this video right here is, and I don't know why it's not named because I literally put a title on it. But anyway, so a friend of mine, Chris Kendall, is a CPA tax guy. He's helped me tremendously throughout my private practice life and helped me tremendously in the self-employment world, which is where a lot of us end up eventually in the self-employment world. And this is an hour and a half, almost 2 hours worth of great advice about business planning, tax kinds of stuff. Like it's super, 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 super helpful for you. I usually try to have him in class, like one of these classes, come and talk, but I just wasn't able to get him this semester. So I went ahead and uploaded this class. It's super helpful to watch. I think it would be really helpful for you. I'm also going to talk about other private practice types of topics that you can use in private practice, but you could just information that you might want to know, like how does insurance work and how do I set my billing rate and stuff like that. Just general things. We're going to talk about some of that stuff too. But this video is super helpful, I think, for folks. The class that I did this in, they really, really loved it. And so I've just kind of put it up for other classes to see. Okay. Now, if you guys don't listen or hear anything I say all night, please hear this, please. And for those of you that watch this recording later, this is really important, very important. This link right here to the Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council, from now on, is your link to your professional world, right? Your link used to be Amberton, used to be Moodle, Amberton, like we were your link. You're no longer, after this class, unless you're doing Prac 3, you work with the state from now on. Anything doing with your license, okay? This link right here is what you need. It's going to take you right to their page. This is what the page looks like, okay? In the top right here, it's got every board. They've all these boards used to have their own separate boards, but they have now housed it under this one executive council. So for example, if we want to go to the LPC board, you click on there, and on the right side, it gives you everything you need to know about LPC World. For example, applying or renewing a license, which is a lot of you are going to be doing. Applying for a license, all the statutes and rules, all the forms and publications, okay? Why am I bringing this up? Because as of now, really before now, you guys have relied on Amerton to give you, information and give you stuff and help coach you through. You're on your own now. This is all you. You have to know where to find things, and this is where you go. If we want to do the LMFT route, the site looks the same. It gives the exact same information here, okay? They even go in here to help you find a supervisor, okay? Like it lays everything out for you, okay? That's very, very important, very important, okay? This one right here, meeting dates, agendas, and minutes. They list out all the meetings that they're going to have. And what I would do if I was you guys is I would go on here. You can actually watch their meetings right here on YouTube. You can actually go on and sign up for emails from the board, the council, that will send you like any updates to rules that are coming up or anything they're thinking about doing or whatever's going on. Once a month, you'll get an email from them. It's just a way to kind of stay current in the field. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. Pop quiz. Where do we go for information about our state licensure?
Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council.
Council.
That's it. That's it. Do you email Dr. Bedard or Dr. Johnson or contact Amerton or ask what we should do
No.
next?
Not anymore.
No.
We
'Cause
belong to the state.
You belong to the state.
Oh my God.
Sounds so harsh.
Well, it's true. I mean, I have a license. I have to go here. When I have to renew my license, I go here. When I had to get fingerprinted last year, I went here. I mean, this is where you go. And believe it or not, this is really nice because this used to be a freaking mess, man. Their website was crappy. Now they've done a really good job of kind of streamlining it, and they're getting associate licenses out to people fairly quickly right now, actually, which is good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Like how many weeks would you say?
I would say within 4.
Wow.
I mean, sometimes quicker. I mean, it used to take forever. Oh my gosh. I think I waited 6 weeks at least, I feel like. Let me look at one thing. It's even got a required documents. Like it's got everything right here. Oh my gosh, so much even better. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the national exam real quick for LPC, real quick. Because you can see here the NBCC. You guys can take that exam now. You used to not be able to take it until you graduated, but you can take it now. LPC folks, if you want, you don't have to. You can take the exam now. You just go on the site, sign up, you get a login account, you create an account, you pay your money, and then they give you some test dates. You choose one, and then you can take it. You can actually take it from home, or you can go to a testing center. Okay.
Can you say that again? We can take the exam from home?
You can. What they do is they make you show your camera around your house and on your desk, and you have to hold your hands up, and you can't get up and you can't move, and they watch you the whole time. Versus if you go to a testing center, it's a little more, they check you and stuff, but yeah, you can take it from home. That's after COVID, they've changed a lot of, kind of loosened some stuff up for you. For LMFT folks, you can take the LMFT exam early as well, which is a totally different exam site than this. Of course, it's not there. The AMFT. Used to have it on here. I think I'm in the wrong spot. Anyway, you can take your exam early as well. Everybody takes this jurisprudence exam, which is kind of a joke because basically you can't fail it. If you get answers wrong, you just keep taking it till you get all the answers right. That's literally what you do for the exam. And you'll have to take this every so often. So everybody can do that now. But let's say that you wanted to know what you needed to do next steps. Where would you go? Would you call me or text me or email me? Or you could, but I'm going to send you this link, right? Does that make sense? Okay, very important. This is very important. This will be a really good, and I would just, you can go on here and start looking around and kind of familiarize yourself with it. I think it'd be really helpful to do. Okay. I've gone ahead and put all the class Zoom dates here in Moodle on the right dates. Everything will be on a Thursday night, 7 to 9. We're going to meet 4 times, 4 times with a holiday break in between there. But you guys can obviously, if you have questions or anything, you can always get a hold of me. You can email me and I'll get back to you pretty quick. Just quick. Well, usually within 24 hours, I get back to people. Okay. So let's talk about you guys, where you're at. All right, now my question is, and we'll start with the LPC folks first. Where, I'm assuming everyone at this point has got a practicum site. Man, if you don't, then you really need to tell me like yesterday. That's true. How are we doing hours wise? How do we feel? Because we need 100 direct hours, right? And 200 indirect hours. And you get to count 80 indirect hours from practicum 1 class and practicum 2 class. So you get 80 indirect hours right there. So I only really want to know about your direct hours, like how everyone's doing. Is anyone concerned? How do you guys feel about it?
Do we need to keep tracking those if we've already obtained them in Prac 1?
Do you have all 100?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can if you want, but you don't have to.
Is there any benefit for LPC?
Nope.
Okay.
Hey, Dr. Bedard, that reminds me, I vaguely remember Dr. Johnson, I think in either pre-prac or prac 1, saying something about 400 hours could be carried over and applied towards your associateship, but I can't remember if that was LMFT or LPC, but I just wanted to, that was one of my questions for tonight to see if you knew about that.
So my understanding is that's an LMFT thing. It used to be both. Now you guys might want to check about that because that has changed. And if I'm being honest, COVID has changed several things. And I'll know that there's some things like there's some things the board's like mulling over too. So check that out. So Dave, for you, like if you already have your hours, if you can carry, up to 400 over, that would make a big difference for you if you already have yours already, right? I'm like 80% sure that that's an LMFT thing. You can carry those hours over for. I don't think you can for LPC, but I could be wrong if they've changed that.
I think Dr. Johnson was saying that it is now just LMFT.
Yeah, I think that's right. It used to be the opposite. LPCs could, LMFTs couldn't, and then they flip-flopped it. It's really weird. I don't know why you don't. It really doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't let you, but that's why, Dave, for you, it's like if you've already got your hours, there's not a lot of, you can't use
So I
them
can-
down the line,
So
Okay.
this is Don James Russell. I agree with Kaylee. For Dr. Johnson said for LPCs, it's they only can get the 300 hours. They can't carry any over. For LPCs, we can get the 300 plus 450 that we can carry over into our associate hours. Dr. Bedard, I have 240 hours that I got in my first practicum.
Mhm.
My issue is that, to answer your question, like 0 of that was couples and families, which
Okay.
is what we have to acquire for LMFTs. So that's really what I'm going to be trying to focus on
Yeah.
for my Prac 2, because we
Mhm.
have to get a certain percentage, which is a lot of those hours for LMFTs. So I just wanted to make you aware of that because a lot of my hours obtained in Prac 1 were individual hours. So I'm really going to try to focus on groups, families, and couples this Prac 2.
So you need 75 relational hours.
Yep. So
So,
that, and I
okay.
had relational, but they were individual. They weren't. And what I mean is that, like, I would have individuals coming and talking about their relationship, but
But
it
the other person
wasn't.
wasn't in the room.
There you go. Exactly. So
Yeah.
that is
So-
what I'm really going to try to focus on.
All right. So here's a technique. Here's a little trick of the trade. The quicker you guys can, LMFT people, LPCs, y'all can just tune me out. LPC folks, the quicker you can turn those individuals into relational, like getting everybody in the room, man, you'll get a lot of hours. I got real good at getting everybody in the room after a while, right? And it's literally just something you do. And even if you can do it, half the sessions. So I think you have plenty of time to get to 75 hours for sure. Absolutely. You have plenty. You have 10 weeks here and 10 more weeks. You have 20 weeks. I mean, you got plenty of time.
Where it's gotten complicated with that is that insurances are not covering the couples, and they're not covering groups so much. So then that's where you get the issue with, unless it's Medicaid or Medicare, but private insurance is no longer covering couples therapy.
Well, you shouldn't be able to take insurance anyway because you're a student.
Well, we aren't. So, and I'm saying that because my Prac 1, they were only charging $25 to see me. But I'm just letting you know, when they were coming in, it was like, if they were coming in as couples, they were seeing, when they was coming in as individuals, when I would tell them, hey, you need to get your partner in, it was like, okay, well, let me talk to him. And I would say that whole, like, it only costs this much to see me. And they were like, okay, well, I'll talk to him. But that's a lot of reasons why they don't do the couples therapy, because even for LMFTs or psychologists, the insurance isn't covering them.
Well,
And they're having to pay cash and
Yeah,
then try to bill their insurance.
I have insurance does cover couples work for sure because I do it. But I think what you're saying is, well, either way, like where you're at, the site that you're at, it sounds like you're having trouble getting relationship hours at the site you're at. That's what it sounds like.
It was, but now I'm at a different site this Prac 2.
Okay.
And it's going to be easier. And I
Okay.
intentionally changed for that reason.
Good. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, good. Anybody
what
else worry? Yeah, go ahead, Missy. Sorry.
Hey, so my situation was kind of weird. I started out with one practicum site, and then during halfway through, I had to switch practicum sites because it was too far for me to drive and I wasn't able to be there enough. So now I'm at a local site, and I'm just now getting direct hours for counseling, but I was doing other things that were counseling related. So I'm continuing to do that. But then also Dr. Johnson was allowing us to count some work hours for me as part of my practicum, because I do in home care, which is like advocacy.
Mhm.
So And we are continuing to be able to do that, correct? Because that's
Yep.
how I'm getting a lot of direct client hours because
Yep.
of my practice site is not as many. So I just wanted to make sure that's still good.
Yep. And he told me, he gave me a heads up about you too, that was
you.
what you were doing. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing too that we've done, we started doing this during COVID for people that are, and if you're still struggling to get hours, you can do like sessions with your family and friends and count those too. We were doing that before with people, especially COVID was really difficult to get the hours. So we can be creative. You just have to tell me. I just need to know, like, if you're going to be behind, like if you're not going to get the enough hours by the time, February comes around. I just need to know. That's the thing. I just need to know. All right. Anyone else worried about their hours?
I'm a little worried about my hours. I'm also kind of using my current job. I'm a teacher
Mhm.
and I work with special ed children. So a lot of them have, anxiety and ADHD and just defiance disorders, a lot of things like that. However, the goal to be able to maintain the curriculum that I need and mix in some social emotional learning didn't go the way I wanted it to go first semester. And so I'm just kind of nervous. First quarter. So I'm kind of nervous that I won't be able to obtain it without taking on a second practicum site, which is just kind of hard for me to do because I do work full time and I also have 2 toddlers that I'm taking care of myself. So childcare.
Yeah. So you're not busy at all. You don't have anything going on your whole life. So how many hours, Talitha, how many hours you have?
I believe it was 146 total, and then I think only like 38 of those were direct because I did a lot of case management and advocacy and then working with the parents and stuff like that. But as far as direct, I didn't get as much as I'd like.
Okay. Let's talk to each other after the holidays. Like keep getting the hours, keep getting all the hours that you can. And let's talk after the holidays and see where you're at.
Okay.
So keep trying to get as many hours as you can. And I'm telling you, if you need to grab some family and friends and throw them on a Zoom and grab hours, you can do it that way too.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm just slightly worried. I'm LMFT, but I got a really late. I secured my practicum site during pre-practicum, but we didn't actually. I was about halfway through Prac 1 before I actually started seeing clients. And I definitely am going to get my total hours, but I am a little worried about the family couple hours.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. That's why you have the extra practicum.
Yeah.
Just for that reason. So, technically you have 20 weeks to get, the 75 that you need. Are you worried because of where you're at? You're not getting as many?
So I love my practicum site, but I'm mostly getting individuals right now.
Right.
I only have one steady couple.
Okay.
And then I've just now taken on. I haven't seen either one yet, but I've taken on 2 minors now. But but I'll be primarily seeing the minors, but then I'll be able to bring the parent in for part of that session. So I will count those as family hours. So it's slowly starting to increase, but I'm a worrier by nature, so I'm just slightly worried. I think I'm going to get the hours I need, but it is a little bit of a concern. But my supervisor knows my concern, so I feel confident that she'll help me make sure I'm stay on track.
Good. That's important too. I think the biggest thing is you're talking about it now, thinking about it now, and like I was saying earlier, like let's talk after Christmas and kind of see where you're at, and then if we need to have a different strategy, you know, we can kind of do that, because the relationship hours are tough, and this is something you're going to battle, you know, from now on, depending on where you end up. For sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Anyone else want pizza? Kayla's got pizza.
Sorry, I haven't eaten dinner yet.
That's okay. That's no big deal. I just ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right before this. So I got crumbs on my desk. My son didn't eat a sandwich today, so I'm like, well, give it to me. Let's go. Okay. If you feel good about your hours, awesome. And some of you sound like you're either finished or almost finished. That's great too. That's perfect. We'll check back in. I'm going to check back in with you too. If something weird happens and all of a sudden you get scared about your hours, just let me know. The quicker you let me know, the more I can help you. The quicker I can help with that. Okay, that's all for that. Talked about testing. We talked about the website. We talked about Moodle. Man, I feel like there was something else I was going to tell you. I can't think of what it is. I can't think of it. I'll think of it later. So this class is, most of the focus of this class is on the future, like your future for the most part. So we try to talk about things that are going to be coming up for you. And that's why that's a pretty broad topic actually. And so one of the things that I started doing, I don't know, a few semesters ago, is talking more openly about like what it looks like to be on your own as a practitioner. Because in our program, we don't really spend any time talking about like anything like business wise or like, so, you know, private practice or even like working at a agency or whatever. We don't talk about that. No program really does, because you're too focused on academics and we're too focused on trying to get you to get to learn the things you need to learn so you can take the exam and pass the exam and move on. And so I take a little bit of time here to talk about a few things that are more along the lines of like private practice and kind of next steps and what to expect. And so I want to do that tonight. Hang on a second. Let me get to the right spot here. So let me get to the right place. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay. So what I want to do right now is I want to do a quick check-in with everyone and how I do this. And Olga, you're going to be the only one. Is anyone else driving? Olga's driving. Yeah, don't have a wreck. Don't check your phone. It's okay.
I can't speak right now. Yes, I'm driving, but I will be soon home, like 15 minutes.
Awesome. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you guys into groups, and I want you to talk about two different things. First thing is I want you to congratulate each other on how far you've come, because this is a big deal. You need to be proud of it. Second thing is I want you to talk about like, okay, if we could talk about anything in this class, what would it be? So I've had classes that wanted to talk more about like I had a class, not this time, but last time we talked about attachment theory. And then I had some people that wanted to talk about case notes sometimes. And I have people that want to talk about, you know, how do you do virtual therapy? Because I do virtual therapy, or anything. Nothing's off limits. There's no, like, we can talk about anything you want. And what I've learned is every class that I teach is different. everyone has different expectations. So I'm really trying to figure out what your expectations of this class are. If your expectation is take this class and pass and move on, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. But if you have an expectation of something, I kind of want to know about it so that we can talk about it, address it. We are going to spend time talking about cases too. We're going to do that, but I want to know what other expectations that you have of this class so I can incorporate those things. Okay. So I'm going to put you into groups, and for like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or something like that. Not super long. All right. Olga, be safe.
I'm okay. I'm safe driver.
All right, good. All right.
Can I ask question?
Yep.
Because we speak right now about hours. And for example, in our documents that we present to Amberton about hours, I didn't see any place where I can put my family hours. It was hours only like individual in person, but I don't see any place that it's saying relationship hours or family hours. How I can show how many hours I have with like family hours?
You just need to designate it somehow on the sheet.
But I had sheets from Amberton. It's nothing there.
Yeah, you can just create your own.
So I needed to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
Yep. It's your sheet. You guys use it how you want.
Yeah, I have because from Alliance for Children, but they know counting too, because I have like, for example, session, parent and kid. I have many of them. So this is, it will be like family hours?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so because when I presented my hours for my supervisor, they have sheet for that, and they have only client hours. They don't have like separate family hours because I'm only one LMFT there. It's all PC.
Right. You just you do it however you need to do it.
Okay, so I need to create my own sheet to show these family hours separate.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you guys can do your own spreadsheets if you want. That's what I did. I created my own. You can do it however you want. Somebody is playing some music outside my house right now. Taylor Swift is blaring. Okay, I'm the greatest dad in the world because I got tickets for my daughter to go see Taylor Swift. We don't need to talk about how much it costs to go see her. That's not important.
My boyfriend just laughed at that.
Yeah.
My
So-
stepdaughter, she's 31. She actually bought like 7 tickets, and after sell out, she sold 3 of them. And she said that her ticket right now is for free. So,
Well, good for her because we waited on the site and crashed twice, and then I went on. So then I just went and bought them after it was all over and got tickets. So my wife waited about 17 hours over 2 days, and it took me about 5 minutes. But we paid a little bit more than we would have, for sure. So, all right, now. Yeah, Kaylee, as long as I can entertain people, that's really why I'm here. You know, we just want everybody to be happy. Isn't that what life's all about? Just be happy. Okay. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys are expecting. What kinds of things do you want? What are you expecting? Talk to me about it.
Dr. Bedard?
Yes.
We talked about that it would be good to get some feedback on difference between case notes and psychotherapy notes and just some all around that subject in general, just to have more clarity on what's expected. And yeah, and I
Okay.
think we all agreed that that topic would be helpful to hear more about that, since we're having to encounter that on a daily basis when we're with a client.
Okay. Gotcha. Good. Anybody else?
I had one also. Do you happen to have I wouldn't call it a blanket statement or a entrance statement for when you do group sessions of around confidentiality?
Like about what it is?
No, not what it is, about helping them understand that, because this is a group session, that, how we handle confidentiality in group settings.
Okay. Give
Does
me an
that make sense
example.
what I'm saying?
Kind of. Give me an example of what you're saying.
Well, when you're in a one-on-one client therapist setting, we can say, your information is confidential between you and I, unless it is X, Y, and Z reasons, and then I'm not able to keep the information confidential. But in group settings, i.e. being substance abuse setting or a open meeting, it's different, right? And so have you created in your multiple years of therapy as a private therapist, have you created like a blanket statement that you either hand out or you have tailor-made to say in these settings before you start your session?
It's not any different to me. You can't control what they do or don't do outside the session.
Right. But I'm saying, do you say that to them? Do you say that, because this is a group setting, this is my responsibility to you, but because you are sharing information with 14 other people in this room, I cannot, any information that they share is not on us. Like, have you created something that you say to help them understand that you can't control if they share it?
You just said it. You just did it right there.
Okay. I get that, but do you have how I say, hi, my name is Dawn James Russell, this is my age. It just comes off so eloquently and, easily. Have you created a statement that you could share that once we say it like 10 times, it becomes like, it becomes uniformed.
So
Now, because it's so new to me, I have to think about it every time I say it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Versus like the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
I know the Pledge of Allegiance very easily because I've said it 1,000 times.
Right.
So have you created a blanket statement that you could share with us regarding confidentiality in group settings?
I don't know if I would say anything different than what you just said. I mean, you're talking about, I think, I'm reading between the lines a little bit. So if this is wrong, you just tell me. I feel like what you're trying to make sure that you communicate what confidentiality would be in this group setting between everybody.
Yes.
So that everyone understands that what we talk about in here is confidential in this setting. And here's what I will do. My responsibility is to keep it confidential, in the setting. As the therapist, I will keep everything everybody says confidential. That's my job. Your responsibility is to realize that you don't need to talk about any of these things outside of this room.
Well, that, and also that whatever you share in this setting with other people, make sure that you're not sharing something that you don't want others to not share outside of this room, because it is not deemed 100% confidential if you share it in this room with other people, because I can't hold them accountable for not sharing it with other people. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does. And what you just said is what I would say.
Okay.
You just made up your own statement right now.
Got it. Okay. I just want to make sure that what I'm saying, I feel like it's legal and it's safe and it's right. I just didn't know if you had something else that you add to that I may be leaving out. Because I've done one group session. Well, I've worked with one group, and that is what I say. And that's basically complete, and it's 100%.
Yeah, you can't. There is in any therapy session, whether it's an individual, a family, a couple, a group, there is inherently some information that could be emotionally difficult, period, no matter who we're working with. And when you're working with groups, they have to realize that you might not want to share every single thing, because do you trust everyone in this group? Do you feel safe sharing everything in this group? Do you have to share everything in this group? Is it a requirement to do that? None of those things are requirements. You're in this group for a certain reason, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to work, or this is the structure of the group. Some of this is dependent upon where you work, right? So if you have some facilities I've worked at, they have their own, like paperwork, for example, they'll have their own paperwork, and then they'll have their own like spiel that they'll do with people, you know, and you just kind of go along with whatever they say. And if you're talking about like rules in a group, then that's a little bit different. Like in our group, here's our rules for the group. You know, it's this and this and this, whatever.
And I think ethically, I think your question is like towards your responsibility, that you will uphold your ethical responsibilities of confidentiality, your HIPAA laws and such. But at the same time, it's impossible for you to guarantee that others would do that. So, but yeah, as long as you're upholding your end of that, that's kind of as far as you can go, because you can't control what other people do. But I get what you're saying about their willingness to share information may not be held in confidence. And yeah, but I don't know if there's, you know,
it won't be held in confidence.
Yeah, because there's not much you can say about that to what another person might divulge if that's what they choose to do. But yeah, that's out of your control.
I've never worked with an addiction recovery group that held anything in confidence ever in my whole life.
No.
And it's not, and I'm not bashing anybody. That's just the nature of it. You know, that's how people talk. So, yeah, I think the short answer is no, I don't have like a spiel I would do with a group other than whatever. I would lean more towards like, here's the rules for the, you know, here's our rules for the group kind of thing. And if everybody wants to vote on them, you can do that. I've done that before. And by rules, I mean like 2 or 3, not like 10. It's got to, you know, something quick, you know, like respecting everyone's, you know, right. Some groups are like no crosstalk, right? Don't, like some groups are real adamant about you can't therapize the other members of the group, that you're not the therapist. That's a rule. Like there's different kinds of rules that you could have, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So here's the deal. I'm probably going to frustrate you guys a bit with some answers, because I want y'all to start thinking about this stuff for yourself too. Right. And so I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but Don, what you're talking about, I think what you just said is great. I think it's awesome. I think it's perfect. I think, personally. It's like tonight, right? Like this is supposed to be confidential. You know, I'm not going to go out of here and say, oh, guess what everyone said? Here's what everybody's dealing, and start using everybody's names. I'm not going to do that. But I don't have any idea what you guys are going to do. You know, so anyway, good question. Great question. Yeah, great question. Any other expectations or questions or anything?
I was curious a little bit about, you said that you do a lot of your work virtually. What about crossing state lines? How would you know, for instance, other than like through admission paperwork and such like that, but if you're meeting with somebody across a state line, if maybe they're on a trip, is that kosher? How would that be handled?
You can only meet with people in the states that you're licensed. And that means where the person is. So the point of service.
Okay, so not their domicile, but where they are.
Where
at the
they
point of
are
service.
physically, where they're at. So if I
Okay.
have, so I'm licensed in California, Arizona, Washington, Texas, and I'm working on California first. That's what I'm doing. So when I get my California license, I can meet with people in those 4 states. If any of those people in those 4 states go to Nevada, I can't meet with them. Unless I want to go through the rigmarole of contacting Nevada's board and saying, my client's going to be in your area. Is it okay if I meet with them? And then what they're going to say is, do you have a Nevada license? I'm going to say no. They're probably going to say, no, you can't. Or you have to go through this process to get a license in Nevada, more than likely. On the flip side of that, if I have all my clients in those states, but I am in Nevada, this is where it's super gray. Technically in Texas, the lawyers have done a great job of telling you basically nothing about what you can do or not do. They all say you can do it if you're in Nevada, but what you really need to do is still call Nevada's board and say, I'm going to be in Nevada for 2 weeks, but all my clients are in California. Is it okay if I'm in your state and see my clients in California? I'm licensed in California and if they say yes, then you say, can you send me that in writing? And if they say no, then you don't do it. Right? You get something in writing. Like this happened to me in the spring. I was going to be in New Mexico and I had some clients in Arizona and Texas I was going to try to see that week. So I called New Mexico's board, talked to them, and that guy sent me a little email message saying, hey, it's approved by the state of New Mexico for you to see clients between this date and this date, blah, blah, blah. So I got that approved. Texas might say, you don't really need to do that, but then you really do. I would say go above and beyond. So, right, ethics is about going above and beyond whatever their guidelines are, right? That's what our job is, to go above and beyond whatever the precedence is. So that's what I do. So all of that information you will find out when you in order to see people online virtually, you have to take classes and get certified. And whatever certification program you go through should go through all the stuff I just went through. You also have to take X amount of hours of like continuing education to continue to see people virtually. Because some of these statutes that I'm talking about change or nuance over time. Like I have a feeling that after COVID, when all the dust is cleared, there's going to be, I bet there's more changes to some of this.
I have a question.
So can I follow up on that just
Yeah,
real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to provide virtual care, you have to first go through training and certification.
Right.
Because during COVID, the agency I was with, we just switched. Now we got okay from the state.
Then you're fine.
Okay, because we had we were like flying by the seat of our pants, truly. And we were just expected to make it happen. But the state said it was okay, so I guess it was okay. But are you saying that moving forward, post-COVID now, they're requiring certification and training?
I am saying that, and I'm saying check the website I just showed you guys, and it'll tell you all the requirements for telehealth.
Okay.
And I would check all of them and read them and make sure you understand it for sure. Absolutely. Okay. Everything I'm telling you is as of like this year. Okay. Next year, maybe they change it. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm sure there's stuff in the works. In other words, every single state has their own requirements for all of these things. Right? Which is kind of weird because the training is the same in every state. That's what's so weird about it. The training to do virtual therapy is the same. It's just a 15 credit training. It's not a big deal. It's not hard. It's just sitting through. There's an ethics part, there's a HIPAA part, and then there's the questions like this, like where can I be, where can they be, what's the best way to do it, what's the safest, that kind of stuff. It's all that they talk about. And they even go into like use this kind of camera and do this kind of headphone kind of thing will work the best. They go into all that kind of stuff too. Like they go into a lot of really good detail. I think that's super helpful for people. So
I have one last question about that. I have a daughter that's about to go off to college this year. And I'm very big on her. She has a therapist here in Dallas that she's been seeing since COVID. When she goes off to college, if her therapist isn't licensed to see her in that state, and she gets a new therapist in the state that she's in college in, how does that work with our insurance? Now, you don't know how, we just have Blue Cross Blue Shield. Will that then, would our insurance cover, would that be considered out of network then? How does that work if with her therapist being in that state and we're Blue Cross Blue Shield in Texas? How does that typically work?
that's an insurance question. You could just call them and ask them if.
Yeah, I was just asking you because you take insurance, so I just assumed that you probably would know that.
Well, I know what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and I only take PPO plans.
Mm-hmm, that's what we
90%
have.
90% of the PPO plans are national plans.
Okay.
So let me give you my 4-second little brief on insurance. Insurance doesn't want to pay people.
Mm.
Okay. So if they can get out of it, they're going to get out of it.
Got it.
On the provider side, not on your clients, not on the patient side.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my suggestion is always, you can go on to Blue Cross's site. You can go on Blue Cross's site right now in any zip code in America and look up providers and see if they're in network. You can do that right now, or call them and they'll tell you.
Okay.
And they'll tell you what codes are covered, what CPT codes are covered as well. I'm going to talk about all this next session. We're going to talk about insurance. I'm going to bore the crap out of y'all about insurance. We're going to talk about all of it. But I have taken, like I can take any United, I do United Healthcare PPO. So technically it can be anywhere, because some companies insurance plan might be in California. That's where their company is, but they live in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So their card might even say Blue Cross of California, but really Blue Cross has got subsidiaries everywhere, right? So that's an insurance question that I would call about.
Okay.
And ask them to be sure, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other expectations? Case notes, that's one thing. We're going to talk about some of the insurance stuff and fees and things. Anything else you guys are excited to talk about or want to talk about or anything?
It's how we can practice.
Do what?
We were speaking group that to ask to you how we can make our own practice, private practice. So if you can give recommendations.
Yeah, you just do it. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too.
And kind of a related but not specific to our class here, but graduation registration is closing on the 10th.
That's right.
I just found it out today. So
that's right. So
it's just a few forms and a fee, correct? Can it be done online or over the phone?
So you guys can do all their graduation stuff can be done online. You do it, and there is time limits on it. And so when you fill out the forms for graduation, unless you're LMFT people, so all the LPC people fill out the application for graduation. What that does is start your transcript process, right? So you need your transcript to apply for your associate license, right? We don't have an actual graduation in February. The next actual ceremony is in May. So some people here might want to walk in May. Well, you've already graduated, but you can still walk. Like we had a ceremony in November, and we had some people from the spring that had graduated, but they walked in November because we only do it, in the summer. We only do it twice a year. We do it in the spring in May, and we do it in the fall of November. But to get your transcript, you have to still do the application process, and that filling out the application starts the transcript process, which you'll need to get your license. That's important. Here's the other thing. And if you're watching this recording, remember this. When you do this, you will also start getting emails to whatever email you gave Amberton the first time you signed up for classes, not your Amberton email. Okay. So if you have a Gmail account you were using 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago when you signed up at Amberton, they're going to start sending information to that email account, not your Amberton account.
After we start the application for graduation process.
Should have started now. You should start doing that now. I would start checking it now.
Okay.
Can
Okay.
you change it, or do you know?
I'm assuming you can, but I don't know.
Okay. I feel like because I applied for Amberton fresh out of undergrad, and so I, for whatever reason, feel like I put my college email that I obviously don't have access to anymore. And
Yeah.
for like 2 years
You
now.
could I would just contact like the registrar's office or something. You could probably change it through them.
Yeah, there's
I'm
a
sure you
form
can
for
change
that,
it.
Kaylee.
Yeah,
Kaylee,
I'm sure you
the-
can change it.
Go under forms.
Yeah, on the change of address form,
Mm-hmm.
there's old email address and new email address.
There you go.
So you could just fill out one of those and not change your physical address, but just your email address.
Yeah, you don't even need to put the old one, just add a new one.
Thank you guys.
Mm-hmm. And just send it in.
Oh, I had one more question.
Yep.
Don't we have to do like a human trafficking
Yes.
certification? Is that also on that website?
Yep.
Okay. I
Yep.
saw there was an FAQ, but I didn't see like a link, but I'll get on there and look. I was just
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah, it's all on there. Everybody has to do that now. I have to do that now. I didn't do it before. I have to do it now too. Actually, every state's doing that now.
It's also on the forms from that Dr. Johnson gave us last semester. He gave us the link last semester.
Yes,
Beautiful.
Is that for LPC or just LMFT?
that's everybody. Psychologists, social workers, everybody. Every mental health has to do a human trafficking class of some kind. Like we have to do ethics and I mean all that. Yep. Most of it so we become aware of how to spot it too. Any other questions? Okay. So next time we meet, we're going to do one case study, anybody, I don't care who. When we do cases, it needs to be, I like to do ones that maybe you're stuck with or you can't figure out or something you need a little help with. It doesn't mean we're going to like tell you what to do, but something you want to bounce, hey, I want to bounce this off you guys. You'll give a little bit of information, general information about the case, what you've done, what you're thinking about, and then we'll kind of ask questions and whatever you want help with, that's what we'll try to help with. We'll do that first. I'm going to do a little bit of I'll call it a lecture, but it's really more of like a talk about theory formation as you're working with people and what that looks like. I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk real briefly about like some private practice a couple of different private practice topics. I'm going to get into a couple of those. That's what we'll do next time that we meet, which will be on January 12th.
Do we need to tie it to our theoretical style?
Do a case?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't care about that. I mean, you can, yeah. Now we can all go do something else, like go to sleep, or I'm about to ride my Peloton. It's in my office. I had to move in my office because we had to put our Christmas stuff up. So my wife was like, you got to move that bike out of there. So I put it in here. So I'm
How
about
old
to
is your
stink.
daughter, Dr. Bedard?
My daughter's, I've got a 15-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. They're 15
Fun.
months apart.
And she's going to the Taylor Swift concert with who? How many tickets did you buy?
Well, we only got 2 because they were a little bit expensive.
So you're
So,
going with her?
My wife's going.
Oh.
So
Merry Christmas.
yeah, that is her Christmas. I said, you're not opening anything. You already know what you got. I'm sorry.
Got it. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Next
Good night.
time.
See you next
Bye.
month.
Bye.